Arnold is the executive vice president of the National Taxpayers Union. He joins us now. So was this all just an election year ploy?
Oh, that was certainly a big part of it. There's no doubt he was trying to curry favor with young voters by forgiving tens of thousands of student loan debt for many of these individuals. But I think there's a bigger thing going on here, and that is a bit of a Santa Claus mentality. The fact that Biden can just sprinkle thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of benefits to people, not recognizing, of course, that that's not his money, that is taxpayer money. And that, of course, adds to the $36 trillion in growing national debt that he has helped to accumulate. So it's really irresponsible, and I think it really buys into the notion that he thinks that's his money. He can do with it as he pleases.
To your point about how much money has been spent, look at this. Over the past 4 years, the Biden-Harris administration has approved nearly $180 billion in student debt relief for nearly 5 million borrowers. It's only a fraction of what he wanted to do, but that's still a big pot of money. And there are many people in this country, Brandon, who believe that it's fundamentally unfair for someone who didn't go to a 4-year college, somebody who maybe they're a plumber and they're making a good living, but still they didn't go to college to do it, or maybe they're a police officer. And yet their taxpayer money is going to bail out Greek philosophy majors and others.
That is absolutely true. And what about the people that went to college, took on a significant amount of student debt, and then made sacrifices, worked their tails off, put in all that extra work, didn't go on vacation to pay off their debt? And now when Biden comes around to provide the student debt relief, they get nothing, whereas some people who maybe weren't so responsible, they get the benefit that Biden is providing here. That's patently unfair.
Yeah, I remember that famous confrontation in Iowa with the gentleman who paid off his daughter's student loans and Elizabeth Warren, where he said, well, do I get my money back? I did the right thing. She says, oh, no, of course not. Well, look at this. Voters across the nation giving President Biden's economic record a failing grade. A recent Fox News poll shows that 77% of people have a negative view of the economy. Nearly half say Biden's economic policies have hurt them. Former Trump economic advisor Steve Moore agrees with that. Listen here.
The real villain here has been Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden is the one who spent and borrowed $7 trillion in his presidency. I think he'll go down in history as one of the most financially reckless presidents in history. And I think most people, Jackie, just want to turn the page. Let's bring in this new administration that, you know, there's so much hope and optimism and confidence. Let's turn to the Trump era now and make some real changes.
And some of those changes that Trump has already proposed, cutting taxes on tips, cutting taxes on Social Security and overtime, and lowering the corporate tax rate on companies that make their products in the United States. The effect of Trump's plans, yet to be seen. We'll see those over the coming years. But it would appear that Biden fundamentally misread the impact that his economic policies were having on people across America. There were a lot of rose-colored pronouncements and rhetoric, but it didn't translate down to the masses.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the national debt that he has helped to create, and Steve Moore is absolutely right. $36 trillion in debt, but what we don't talk about enough is the other debt crisis that he has helped to contribute to, and that is the household debt crisis. Nearly $18 trillion in household debt now. That's mortgage debt, that's credit cards, that's auto loans. People have taken on so much debt, not to make extravagant purchases and then pay off those credit card bills, but just to survive, to pay for that basket of groceries that all of a sudden cost $200, $300, and people are defaulting on that debt. There's a real crisis on our hands when it comes to household debt, and I think we need much better tax policy, much more responsible fiscal policy if we're going to help people get their legs under them once again.
So Biden famously said recently that he has no regrets in his presidency. A lot of people are looking at that statement and saying, wait a second, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Biden has bought into the fact that the economy is great, and his advisors are whispering that in his ear every single day. And if you look at some of the big numbers, yeah, things have gotten a bit better since the pandemic. Inflation has started to come down a bit. Jobs have started to come back, but we have a long way to go. And all it takes is conversations with average Americans to recognize the fact that even if the big picture numbers are starting to improve, people aren't feeling that yet at the grassroots level. People are still grumbling about those grocery prices and those gasoline prices and so forth, and all that credit card and other types of debt that they've had to take on to weather this storm. That's what Biden doesn't get, and he has not gotten that throughout the course of his presidency.
Brandon, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your opinion. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, John. You too.
All right. Appreciate it. Critics have been